Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. According to traditional understanding, the strength of the Qin army is attributed to its 20-level military merit and nobility system. This system motivated soldiers to fight bravely. As long as they achieved military merits, they could be promoted to the lowest rank of gongshi, first-level nobility. After promotion, they not only received land and a house but also servants, instantly improving their living conditions. This incentive mechanism greatly enhanced the soldiers' combat effectiveness, thus contributing to the strength of the Qin army. A similar approach was adopted during the reign of Emperor Wu of the Han dynasty. In order to stimulate soldiers' desire for battle, the Han court introduced the military merit nobility system. According to the reward decree for conquering the Xiongnu found in archaeological records, Emperor Wu greatly rewarded soldiers. For example, killing a Xiongnu soldier could earn nearly a pound of gold. Such generous rewards quickly changed soldiers' lives, contributing to the strength of the Han army. However, while monetary rewards and nobility titles can indeed motivate soldiers' fighting desire, the ignition of desire does not necessarily equate to the strength of an army. So, what other secrets lay behind the strength of the Qin and Han armies? Recent archaeological discoveries at the Terracotta army provide us with a new perspective, which may change our traditional understanding of why these ancient Chinese armies were so powerful. Recently, the third excavation of Pit No. 1 of the Terracotta army uncovered several important archaeological findings, one of which is related to the weapons and equipment of the Qin army. Among these discoveries were two types of polearms, the bai and the ji. The bai resembles a modern bayonet, where a short sword is mounted on a long handle. This finding corrects the previous misconception that the bai was a type of short sword. The ji, on the other hand, is a pole weapon with a spearhead at the front and a blade at the rear, featuring both straight and cross blades, resembling a ten, or divination, shape. Additionally, archaeologists discovered 5 short weapons, all bronze swords ranging from 88 to 91 centimeters in length, similar to the Qin swords previously discovered. However, this finding is significant as it overturns traditional assumptions. These bronze swords were all worn by the terracotta soldiers, and their original positions were undisturbed, with accompanying accessories intact. Surprisingly, the swords were not worn by generals but by ordinary soldiers. Archaeologists have concluded the sword was a standard piece of equipment, and every soldier wore one. In previous excavations, Qin terracotta soldiers who wore swords were generally generals, and most other bronze swords from the Warring States period were worn by people of higher social status. Therefore, the traditional belief was that only generals could wear valuable swords, while ordinary soldiers were not entitled to them. The current discovery breaks this belief and redefines the situation of soldiers wearing swords. From these important archaeological findings, we can draw 2 key conclusions. First, the equipment of Qin soldiers was more comprehensive compared to soldiers from the other 6 states. The Qin army was equipped with both polearms and short weapons, allowing them to use polearms for long-range attacks and short weapons for close combat. Additionally, the Qin army had strong long-range capabilities, with arrow formations effectively clearing the battlefield and creating favorable conditions for close combat. In comparison, soldiers from the other 6 states did not have as comprehensive weaponry. Second, the typical length of Qin swords was 88 to 91 centimeters, while the bronze swords of the other 6 states were generally only 50 to 65 centimeters in length. This suggests that Qin's weaponry technology was superior to that of the other states. The longer sword had an advantage in close combat. As the saying goes, an inch longer, an inch stronger, meaning that a longer sword had a clear edge in hand-to-hand combat. This equipment advantage made the Qin army more formidable in close combat. Furthermore, the fact that ordinary soldiers could equip such long Qin swords may also suggest that Qin soldiers were relatively tall. We can draw some insights from the story of Jing Ku assassinating the Qin king. In the story, when King Zheng of Qin, Yingzheng, saw Jing Ku take out a rolled-up map, he did not become suspicious. Jing Ku carefully unfolded the map, and only when it was fully opened did the concealed dagger become visible. Upon seeing the dagger, King Zheng immediately jumped up in fear. Jing Ku quickly grabbed his dagger, clutching the sleeve of King Qin with one hand while forcefully stabbing toward the king's chest with the other. King Qin hurriedly turned around, struggling to break free from Jing Ku's grip. He swiftly jumped over a screen, trying to escape. However, Jing Ku did not let him go, relentlessly pursuing him with the dagger in hand. King Qin realized there was no way to escape, so he began running around the bronze pillar in the center of the hall. Jing Ku kept close behind, and the two of them spun around the pillar like a carousel. Although there were many officials around, they were unarmed, and the soldiers standing at the base of the steps dared not act rashly. According to the customs of the Qin state, no one could enter the hall unless ordered by the king. Everyone was helpless and did not dare to call for the soldiers. At this critical moment, the king's personal doctor suddenly had an idea. He picked up the medicine bag in his hand and threw it at Jing Ku. Jing Ku quickly raised his hand to block it, and the medicine bag flew to the side. At this crucial moment, King Qin stepped forward and finally drew his sword, a blade that had been worn at his side. With one strike, he cut Jing Ku's leg. A detail worth noting here is that King Yingzheng's sword was relatively long, which almost prevented him from drawing it in time. Due to the sword's length, he did not have enough space to pull it out quickly and was almost attacked by Jing Ku. To draw the sword, he had to push it behind his back before finally succeeding. This detail highlights how a sword that is too long could affect the efficiency of a quick response. So, would the Qin army also be affected by having swords that are too long in battle? The answer is clearly no. In battlefield combat, life and death hang by a thread, and there is no room for losing the initiative due to difficulty in drawing a sword. Therefore, it is reasonable to speculate that Qin soldiers were generally taller, which would allow them to easily draw their long swords and engage in battle. According to the discovery of the Terracotta army, the average height of Qin soldiers may have been over 170 centimeters. Meanwhile, Emperor Qin Shi Huang's height was probably less than 170 centimeters. Which also explains why, in a critical moment, he could only draw his sword by placing it behind his back. Thus, in addition to the military merit-based ranking system that incentivized soldiers, another crucial factor in the strength of the Qin army was its outstanding military equipment. This also brings to mind the Han dynasty, which inherited the Qin system, and the Han army's formidable performance in battles against the Xiongnu. A passage from the Book of Han mentions that Chen Tang once said, 5 Hu soldiers are no match for 1 Han soldier. Why? Their weapons are crude and blunt, and their bows and crossbows are ineffective. Now, after learning Han methods, they are still 3-1 against the Han. This means that the Hu soldiers' weapons were rough and not sharp, and their bows and arrows lacked the power of those used by Han soldiers. As a result, Han soldiers could easily defeat 5 times their number of Hu soldiers. However, when the Hu soldiers gradually learned and mastered Han military techniques, their combat abilities improved, and the situation turned into 1 Han soldier against 3 Hu soldiers. Archaeological discoveries have confirmed this, showing that Han military technology was long ahead of its time. For example, a large knife unearthed in Shandong bears an inscription that reads, "In the 6th year of Yongchu, on the 5th day of the 5th month, made 30 Dan large knives." After scientific examination, it was determined that the knife's material had been repeatedly tempered steel, making it at least 2 or 3 grades superior to ordinary iron. In contrast, the northern nomadic tribes at the time could only produce ordinary iron tools, and their technological level was far behind that of the Han dynasty. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone and see you in the next time.